This is Allison Cook-Mintzer, Editor-in-Chief of Plan Sponsor, and I'm speaking today with Thomas Shent, a partner at Alston & Bird. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks, Allison. It's a privilege being here. Your audience is the exact audience that I'd love to get this message out to.
Let's talk about this message. You have talked about what you've deemed a retirement loan default crisis. Can you talk about what that is and why plan sponsors need to be aware of it?
Sure, 2 words. Retirement leakage. An often used term, but you really have to dig down to see the meaning of it. People think, oh, lump sum distributions from our 401k plan, that's leakage. Cash out distributions from a 401k plan, again, leakage. I'm introducing something different, and that is loan defaults. And that to me is a more significant leakage. $6 billion a year comes out of 401k plan because of loan defaults. Not million, billion. Of those, 86% is due to layoffs and the inability to pay off the loan. If night follows day, then a cash out usually follows a loan default. We add that number from $6 billion, we go up to $20 to $30 billion that goes out of the retirement plan from a person whose sole source of retirement is that 401k plan. And that's a person who typically is in a demographic that can't afford to lose that money. Losing more than just the average median loan amount, but the accumulated earnings that they're missing out on for the remaining period of their working career. That to me is leakage.
What level of awareness do you think there is from plan sponsors about this?
Limited, truly limited. It's like an iceberg. You know, there's a top, the tip of the iceberg, and it seems small. But if you go beneath, it's large, it's huge. What follows from a loan default? Well, there's taxation. That's one. Second, if that individual is below 59.5, there's a 10% penalty on that. And then following that, as I said, there's a cash out of their benefit. It seems to trail after a default. So that seems to be the base of the iceberg, and the tip is just the mere default itself, the beginning of the default. If employers see that and really understand that, they as fiduciaries need to take an affirmative step forward. Do you know for a fact that only 6 to 8% of the actual loan defaults are reported on the annual 5500 filing? There's more than really exists on that filing. They must take affirmative action.
You mentioned fiduciary. What is a plan sponsor's fiduciary responsibility as it relates to loans?
Perfect question. Your readership should be aware of their fiduciary duties. Under ERISA, they dictate various duties that they must hold out themselves to in order to prudently preserve the retirement assets in the event of a loan default. I'm not making that up. That's what's stated in ERISA. So it's not collateralizing a loan. It's not making sure there's enough of a percentage of assets in the account to pay off the loan in case there's a default or to offset it. That does nothing but deplete the loan again more. So that's actually counterintuitive. The employer, the plan sponsor, must seek some type of duty in order to ensure that the loan doesn't get to that level of default. And remember what I said, the typical person who takes out a plan loan, the demographics of that person is such that they are really not able to get a loan from some other source.
We've reported on Plan Sponsor that loan defaults have started to come on the radar,
yes,
let's say, of regulators. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So before going in private practice, I worked for the Internal Revenue Service. My role was to assist auditors in setting up their audits and to support them legally if I had the support available to them. What's the number one audited plan by IRS and DOL? 401k plans. Why? Because almost every plan sponsor has one. What's the number one feature that's audited in a 401k plan? Plan loans. Why? Because plan loans is a predominantly available feature. If you eliminate plan loans, participation drops. That's why elimination of a plan loan is not a viable option. So When I was there looking at audits, you go in and you say, well, what is my default record on loans? That IRS person is compelled to look further, to look, as some people would say, under the hood more. By eliminating those defaults through a product such as Retirement Loan Eraser, which eliminates those defaults that are due based on involuntary termination of employment, you are now causing the service to say, oh, looks like it's doing okay. They may not look further. Or that's an affirmative step in the right direction that the employer is doing. The employer has some adequate practices and procedures. Back in the day, words like automatic enrollment, auto escalators, daily valuation, catch-up contributions were cutting edge. Now they're the norm.
So discuss a little bit more, if you can, how a plan sponsor can in fact mitigate their responsibilities as it relates to loans.
The termination of employment will continue on and continue on. It's a fact of life. Because it's a fact of life, some type of a product like this is a necessity now. That's the only way you can really protect and ensure that there will be no leakage from this source. So what's the price of this source? As a person, as a consumer, my loan would be charged about a half a cup of coffee every payroll period if it's biweekly, or a cup a month, versus keeping my accumulation intact and growing on a tax-preferred basis. Frankly, a price that's fairly small based on the benefits received.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciated the conversation.
Thank you.
This is Allison Cook Mincer, and you've been watching my conversation with Tom Shent of Alston & Bird.